have to have some more. That's so good. Now we're going to get into making lemon bars and lemon curd, but first I want to show you something else that you can do with your lemons. Take some lemons and some vodka, and what do you get? You can get some wonderful pure lemon extract, and it's very easy to do too. You're just going to take your vegetable peeler and peel your lemon. You don't have to worry about getting the pith if you're using the peeler because it'll take just the right amount. It also doesn't matter whether you get small sections like say this or long elegant strands if you're better at vegetable peelers than me. It doesn't matter. So you're going to take about a cup if you're going to use a pint jar of vodka to make your extract. And I'm going to do an upcoming video real soon about making all kinds of extracts, like mint extract, coffee extract, of course vanilla extract, but also some interesting ones like your own almond extract. But for today, we're just focusing on lemon extract. So yeah, if you're going to use a pint jar, I would suggest using about a cup, a little less, like about 3/4, maybe a little more than that. And that's what fits for me anyway in my pint jar. Now I use this much for me because I bake a lot and my kids like lemon. I'm not such a big lemon baked goods fan, although I have found using my own lemon juice and my own lemon curd, I like it a lot more. I like fresh lemons, but now baked goods with lemon is starting to really grow on me. I'm also going to give some of these beautiful, delicious lemon extracts to friends and family that I know like to bake with lemon. Now, if you're not such a baker or you want to give a smaller gift to someone else who maybe doesn't bake quite as much as me, then you can use some of the beautiful bottles that you can find online or in pretty much any of your bigger box stores, maybe even in some local specialty stores. The ones that have, the narrow necks that you're more typical, more likely to get when you get a store-bought extract of some sort. But in any case, you're going to fill the bottle or the jar with the vodka and try to get a non-GMO vodka. Absolute is a good one. And then you're going to put in the lemon peels. Now, with a pint jar this size, and you're using almost a cup of vodka, you're going to use the peel of a whole lemon. If you were using something half that size, you would just reduce everything down by half. It's very easy. Now you're going to store this for 1 to 2 months in a cool, dark place, and then you can strain out the lemon peels so that it looks more attractive, but that's up to you. And I think it's a wonderful, great thing to try because it is so simple and because it does yield such great results. And if you love to bake, what better than to have your own pure extracts? Okay, so first up is the crust of our lemon bars. Now, this crust is made today with regular flour, but it can be made gluten-free. I've done that already several times, and I plan to do it with the second batch I make today. And I'll have upcoming videos that go into what kind of flours you can use. But basically for today, I'm just going to use a 1-to-1 gluten-free baking flour that you can get at, say, a Target or a Walmart, and lots of other stores. But if you really need to bake gluten-free all the time, it's well worth it and quite easy to learn to make your own flour blends. But we'll get into that another time. Okay, so it can be gluten-free quite easily. It also can be dairy-free because you don't have to use butter. You can use a butter substitute. I do that too for my daughter and I who eat dairy-free. However, today we're making the butter one. But it cannot be a vegan recipe. At least I personally have not found a good lemon bar recipe that is vegan because the eggs are so crucial to the structure. Without the eggs, the curd filling would be very soupy. But I'm sure there are some substitutes, and if we were vegan, I would find them. So if you're vegan, put in the comments below how you would handle this. So yeah, not vegan, but it can be gluten-free and dairy-free if you'd like it to be. Now, as to the pan, you want a 9x13 pan, and it's important to use a glass pan because if you use a metal pan, it actually can impart a metallic taste when you're working with lemon. A glass pan is best, and do not grease the pan. I made that error the first time I made lemon bars, and it's edible, but it creates a super slick, hard, almost too hard to bite through crust, especially in the corners. And it also comes up the sides, the butter or spray, whatever you use to grease the pan, it comes up the sides and overflows onto the top. And you just don't want that. So it doesn't need to be greased because the crust is a shortbread crust, basically. And that has a lot of butter in it, so it's not going to stick to your pan. Now, the other option you have is to line the non-greased pan with parchment paper. So if you're going to be taking the bars somewhere and you want to lift them out of the pan and cut them in individual squares and put them on a serving platter, that's the way I would go. You're going to get much neater squares if you use parchment paper. Personally, I'm not a fan of parchment paper. It's just a thing. And also, I never really take my bars and other desserts many places, and if I do, I just take them in the pan. So I don't use the parchment paper, but lots of people swear by it. So if you want to have really neat individual squares on trays, then maybe you should try that. What else? Preheat the oven. You'd want to have it ready to go when you're ready to put this in, and you do pre-bake the crust, which is nice because while it's baking, you can go ahead and make the curd filling, which is an awesome curd filling because you don't have to cook it on the stove separately. It cooks as the whole bar recipe bakes. So while the crust is pre-baking at the 325 Fahrenheit temperature for about 20 to 22 minutes until it's lightly browned, it is not going to be cooked all the way through. That was another mistake the very first time I made these. I had forgotten somehow, old age, that this crust is going to be baked again when you put the filling in and put it back in the oven for another 22 to 26 minutes the second go around. So it doesn't need to be completely 100% baked the first time. You're just solidifying it so you have a nice solid base there for the filling to go onto. So you're just baking it till it's lightly brown. Usually that takes about 20 minutes. So when you pull it out, you're going to poke the crust with a fork, make little holes all over it, not all the way through. You don't want to go through to the pan, just, a little bit through, enough so that when you put the filling in, it sort of sinks a little bit into that crust, and that sort of melds the two together, and then you don't have any separation between the lemon curd filling and the shortbread crust later as it cools. Okay, so to make the crust, you put in 1 cup of butter and melt it. And to that 1 cup of melted butter, you're simply going to add 1/2 cup of white granulated sugar, 2 teaspoons of pure vanilla extract. I happen to have the clear one. And about 1/2 teaspoon of salt, but if you've used salted butter, then you're going to want to not use as much, maybe only use half as much. Okay, so you're going to stir that up with a wooden spoon. There you go. And now you're going to add the last ingredient, which is flour. And you want 2 cups plus 2 tablespoons. And if you're not using gluten-free, use unbleached white flour or your favorite flour. Some people use whole grain flour, and that's going to give you a different result. But if you're used to baking that way, you probably know that and like that. So you're going to mix that in, and that's all there is to it. As soon as it's mixed, you press it into your ungreased 9x13 pan. Now, something I'll mention right here is that if you don't want to make that much, because say you're baking just for 1 or 2 people and you only want to bake, say, a 9x9 pan, you can totally do that. Just have all the ingredients. And I will include a copy of this recipe, which I found many years ago and have tweaked a few things in it since then. And I will include that down below in the description. So let's get this pressed into the pan. Okay, so the crust mixture is going to be very crumbly right now, and that's totally how it should be. Don't worry about it. And so you just kind of pour it into or scrape it into the pan, remember, not greased, and then press it into an even solid layer all the way around. So the lemon curd filling that's going to go on our crust that's baking is very easy, and as I said, you don't have to cook it, and that's great. So it only takes 2 cups of granulated white sugar and 6 tablespoons of unbleached flour. That's what I've got in this yellow bowl. I'm gonna whisk it together here. And then the other 2 ingredients that you're gonna add are 1 cup of fresh squeezed lemon juice. And of course you can use store-bought, but you will get added flavor from the lemons that you have squeezed yourself, especially if they're from your own tree. But hey, farmers market have them too, and that's always great to support them. But I'm gonna add this 1 cup of lemon juice that I squeezed yesterday directly in. And the other thing it's going to require is 6 egg yolks. Now, I happen to have chickens and ducks, so I've got duck eggs. I said egg yolks, didn't I? It's not egg yolks, it's 6 eggs. Definitely 6 whole eggs, okay? I know when you cook lemon curd, usually you just use yolks, but in this recipe you use eggs, and I've got those already cracked and ready to go. 6 whole duck eggs going in. Okay. Now, I'm gonna break those yolks, just because I like to do that. And we're just gonna whisk this together. There's really nothing to it, because you're not cooking it, you're not trying to get it to a certain thick consistency, you're just getting it mixed. And once you do have it mixed, it's about the time, if you time it right, which I tried to do, that your crust is gonna be coming out of the oven. And then you're just going to, after pricking that with holes like we talked about, you're just gonna pour this lemon curd filling right onto that crust and stick it right back in that 325 Fahrenheit oven. And you're going to bake it for 22 to 26 minutes. You want the center of your lemon curd filling to be set, just set, so that it stops jiggling. So you're probably gonna test it about 20, 22 minutes, and you're gonna say, oh, that's not done, it's still really jiggly. But as you approach 25, 26, 27 minutes, it's definitely gonna be set, and you wanna pull it out. You don't wanna over bake it, okay? You do not wanna do that. So it's really simple, and it's really delicious. Okay, it's out of the oven and ready to prick with our fork. Remember, you don't want to go all the way down to the glass. You're just gently pricking the top so that when you pour your lemon curd filling in, it's going to soak into the crust. And that way, when you go to cut your bars later, you won't have any issue when you get them out with it, you seeing a separation between the two. Okay, time to pour it in. And this is how easy it is. And now it's gonna go in the oven for 22 to 26 minutes. I'd say check it at 22. And again, like I said a moment ago, make sure that center is set. Usually it takes 26 to 27 minutes and it will be done. And here are the lemon bars. They look lovely. If you can detect a few white spots, I don't know if you can see them, but there's a few, 3 or 4 small. Those are just normal. They will occur in some batches and not in others. And they basically are from the air that gets whipped into the eggs when you're whisking. And it's just a normal result, no big deal. You can barely see it in this one, and sometimes you don't see it at all. But the fact is, a lot of people like a little sprinkling of powdered sugar over their lemon bars. Sometimes I do that, sometimes I don't. Today I might, just for the fun of it, or maybe I'll just do it on half, and that way people can choose which way they like it. And the thing with that is you don't want to add the powdered sugar right now because this is hot still and it will melt right into it. In fact, you want to cool your lemon bars for 1 to 2 hours. When they're room temperature, you put them in the fridge for another 2 hours until they're well chilled, and that's how you should serve them. They're delicious that way, and that's when you can add the powdered sugar. Now I want to show you how to make a cooked lemon curd. It only takes 5 minutes of prep and 10 minutes on the stove and you're set. Now to cook it on the stove, you can either use a double boiler, and make sure it's a ceramic one, not a metal one, because you don't want to impart a metallic taste to the curd, which with lemons you could do. If you don't have a ceramic double boiler, another way you can do is what I often do, what I'm going to do today, which is use a heat-proof glass bowl and set it in a saucepan. Put an inch or 2 of water in the saucepan and then set the bowl in there. You don't want the bowl touching the water, but just above the water. You bring the water to a boil, and then you turn it down to a low simmer. And you cook your curd for about 10 minutes, whisking the whole time. Now, if you want to be really sure that you don't impart any metallic taste, you should probably use a silicone whisk. I've got one of those on order right now, but for today I'm going to be using a metal one. I haven't really noticed that taste, but some people say you do. So for this recipe, you only need 6 ingredients. 5 of them are going to be cooked, and the last one you're going to add in afterwards. So we have 2/3 cup of granulated white sugar in the bowl, and to that we're adding 4 egg yolks. Now, if you really want to ensure a thick curd, you can make that 4th egg be a whole egg instead of a yolk. And after you get those egg yolks in there, you're going to add in 1/3 a cup of lemon juice, which I just squeezed fresh now, and a tablespoon of lemon zest, which I just zested now. And the last ingredient is just a pinch of salt, about 1/8 of a teaspoon. Okay, time to whisk. So you're going to blend this together, and then you're going to get this on your simmering water and continue to whisk the whole time that it is cooking, because you don't want it to curdle and you don't want it to stick. And now I'll tell you a secret. Some people like to strain their lemon curd afterwards to get out the lemon zest, but you really don't need to do that. The lemon zest cooks along with the curd, and it's very soft and basically indiscernible in your finished product, so I think that's really an unnecessary step. Now that last ingredient is 6 tablespoons of butter. However, you don't add it until after you're done cooking the curd. You remove the curd from the heat, you cut your butter, your 6 tablespoons, into 5 or 6 pieces directly into the curd, and the heat of the curd will melt the butter, and this is going to give it a really creamy texture. Time to go in the pot. Okay, that took about 12 or 13 minutes rather than 10 because I didn't have it quite up to the right temperature. So if you find that as you're whisking in your double boiler or your homemade glass bowl over a pot of simmering water boiler, if you find that it's not thickening, then just turn the temperature up and keep whisking the whole time. I basically had it at a very high medium low, or even just straight medium, and that worked great. And it's nice and thick, like a really nice thick sauce. And the thing is that as it cools, it will thicken more. Now, this is where we're going to dump in the cut up 6 tablespoons of butter. And you know what? I'm going to now use my spatula to just stir this in and make this little mixture a little bit creamier. And the heat of this will melt the butter. So just gently stir it. And then if you don't want it to develop a skin on it as it cools, you'll want to put a piece of plastic wrap or plastic that you've cut to fit right on top of it. And that will prevent a skin from forming. And if you don't care about a skin and or you are against plastic, which I usually am, then you can just let it go. I mean, a little tiny film on the top never hurt anyone. So this mixing it in and letting the butter melt usually takes about probably 2 minutes. It's almost done now. I'll meet you back here in just a moment. I just wanted to pop back in to say that the fresh lemon curd is really yummy. Okay, well, now through the magic of YouTube, you can join me this afternoon, meaning in a few seconds, to see what these lemon bars look like, all nice and sugared and chilled, and what they taste like, I'll let you know, and the lemon curd too, how that tastes. So here is everything that we made and baked, except for the scone. That's a mixed berry scone I made because I thought it would go really well with the lemon curd. So let's take a look at this stuff. Well, we've got 4 jars, half-pint jars of lemon extract. I like how they look when you turn them upside down, kind of like one of those snow globes. You should definitely put a label on these because this is vodka, straight up vodka. That's how you make extracts, as we talked about. So I let all my children know, don't think this is lemon juice because it's not. Now the lemon curd looks great. I did not put plastic right on top of it because I don't like plastic touching my food really. And I don't think it has a film at all. I put the lid on this, which is about a good inch and a half above the level of the curd. And it looks like keeping the air out kept a film from forming. But I don't really care if a film formed anyway. That happens on puddings and stuff, and I don't mind that. But the key, the important factor is, what does it taste like? So we're going to put some of this on the scone and see. And then the other thing we have here is, I'll hold it up close. Let's see if you can see it. There you go. There's the lemon bar. I think it looks great. And I must say that when I cut it, I did take a little taste and it's really yummy. It's just got that tart, tangy, sweet flavor that a good lemon bar will have. And that's coming from someone that doesn't really like baked goods with lemons in them at all, at least until now. So let's taste them. All right. So again, this has the shortbread crust. That's amazing. The shortbread crust, it's really thick and it really cuts the tanginess in just the right way because it's not too sweet. It's a really good counterbalance to the lemon curd. That is delicious. Oh, not lemon curd. Well, actually, remember, the filling in your lemon bars is a lemon curd. It's just not one you had to cook separately. It baked into a lemon curd in the oven, which is super simple. But now for the lemon curd, I cooked in the double boiler, the makeshift double boiler with the bowl. I'm gonna take just a spoonful. Oh yeah, that looks great. Can you see that? It came out in the corner. Look at that. This is gonna have to be my brunch because there's no way that I could eat this whole scone and the bar, or could I? All right, here we go. That's really good. You know what? I could eat that straight. Wow. It's like lemon pudding. It's very tangy. You have to like lemons, but if you like lemonade, and let's say you're like me and you never liked lemon meringue pie, which I never did, you have to be willing to open your mind because that is delicious. I might even try lemon meringue pie next. Success! Get some lemons and experiment yourself. So guys, I hope you enjoyed part 2 of our lemon series and what can I do with all these lemons. And I'm looking forward to using my lemon extract in about 2 months. That'll be the time birthdays start rolling around. That's so good. If you enjoyed today's video and you want to learn how to use all the fruits and veggies you grow and how to better grow them and how to enjoy your garden, then go ahead and subscribe to my channel, hit the subscribe button and the notification bell, and you'll know whenever I upload new content, which is twice a week usually. I had fun today. I hope you did too. Thanks for joining me and have a great week, everyone.